So I'm sure a lot of you have seen by now the Street Fighter 6 cover art, and I was very curious to see what other people thought, because when I saw it, I was like, this is the first miss for Street Fighter 6 in my opinion. Other than my initial bad take on the game, this is the first real miss for the game. Street Fighter 6 has done absolutely everything right that you could. They have presented the game in such a positive light. It has been positively received in the closed beta. It was positively received at the European Game Show, which had just not too long ago passed. It has pretty much hit the nail on the head. The music is fantastic. The game plays very well. It looks absolutely beautiful. The online worked very well as far as I could tell from the little time that I got on it. The replay function is still intact, it's still very good. The character models are fantastic. The stages are very nice. The general aesthetic and the UI in Street Fighter 6 nailed it on the head. The artwork for the game, the in-game artwork, as well as some of the stuff that we've seen on the Twitter page for Capcom and Street Fighter, again, everything is on point. They even went as far as to change that garbage logo that we got on the initial reveal of Street Fighter 6. So why am I making this video? Well, up until now it's been a clean sweep for Street Fighter 6 and Capcom. Up until they showed us the cover art of Street Fighter 6. The cover art of Street Fighter 6 is the first miss for Capcom with this game, and it's a big miss in my opinion. Now there's a couple reasons why. Now first of all, I want to start off by saying no, I am not going to boycott the game because it's got a crappy cover art if they decide to not change it. It's just people don't have to like something. I've seen some people saying, how are people complaining about this? Well, why not? We all complained about the logo. The logo was garbage, and I think it was good to complain about the logo. I mean, the Street Fighter logo is pretty legendary. The general aesthetic, it has changed over time, but it's more or less remained the same. The Street Fighter logo has been pretty legendary. For whatever reason, they decided to come out of that hot garbage in the original trailer, and nobody was happy with it. So I think it's good that people complained and they changed it, and it looks much better now. Personally, I think it could be better, but I ain't gonna lose any sleep over it. Now I'm not saying that I'm going to lose sleep over this, but it's worth talking about. I mean, the game has been hitting every single corner so far, and I'm going to have to look at that crappy box art for the next 10 years. So it's worth discussing at the very least. I mean, there's going to be other pieces of artwork they can stick on the case, and if it's being negatively received by the community, I think they should go ahead and change it. At the very least, give players the option to purchase a different character. Now the character we're going to be talking about today is Luke. Luke is one of the new characters to Street Fighter. He was introduced to Street Fighter 5. In Street Fighter 5 he is essentially a Street Fighter 6 guest character. That's basically what he is. He doesn't play like any of the other characters, his mechanics don't work in the way the other characters do, and he just feels out of place in Street Fighter 5. So he was essentially put in there to test Street Fighter 6 in my opinion, and he was not positively received. Now I don't know if his gameplay style was what people didn't like, or just Luke the character himself. For me personally, I don't like the character. I don't like his general design in both 5 and 6. I do think he looks a bit weird in 6, like just the way they decide to like design him with no shoes. It's a little bit weird. It's not the biggest deal in the world, and quite honestly I'm never going to use Luke, so it's not a massive deal. But him being the new face of Street Fighter hasn't sat well with a lot of people. I'm not really favorable of it myself, but you know, it's not a big deal. Ryu is still there. I think in the hearts and minds of everyone, Ryu and Ken still run the show alongside Chun-Li and the classics. But Luke can exist. I just don't think he should be the face of the series, and I certainly don't think he should be on the cover. But let's get into some of the comments that people made on Twitter regarding this. So I've got a couple of screen grabs here, and I'll go through some of them. Now there's a very big conversation on Twitter going on right now, so much so that it has reached the voice actor for Luke, so the person that's actually playing Luke in the Japanese version, I believe, or maybe even in the English version, I'm not too sure. But the conversation got so big it reached them, so you best believe Capcom has probably heard about this, and they may go ahead and change it. But we'll get into some of the comments. Firstly, it says what we wanted and what we got. Now honestly, when I saw this artwork, I thought that was going to be the cover of Street Fighter 6. I thought that's what they were showing us, and quite honestly, that's a great cover. Now Luke is still the centerpiece of it, but you still have the classics in there like Ryu and Ken, and you've got all the new characters sort of sprinkled around them as well. It looks good. It's a very, if that was the cover in my opinion, people would have been happy with it. People would have kicked up a fuss. Then you've got Ryu Kang here saying, I'm still looking forward to Street Fighter 6, but damn, I'm not feeling this cover art. Perfectly valid criticism. I'm not feeling it either. It's pretty lame. Then you've got 165 Hertz rollback saying people having a meltdown about the Street Fighter 6 cover art, and we all know they're going to buy the digital version to be able to play it at midnight. Twitter FGC never fails to focus on random shit and make a big deal out of it. See, now this comment to me is a little bit silly because, like I said, it's not a massive deal. If they don't change the cover art, I don't think anyone is going to boycott Street Fighter 6, but it's worth talking about. I mean, for people like me who are not going to buy the digital version, we're going to buy the physical version and wait a couple of hours to have that physical copy. More than likely, I'll probably get like a collector's edition just because it's Street Fighter, because it's a return to form for Street Fighter. It's going to be a very big release and a very pivotal moment for fighting games in 2023, a time that we're hopefully going to look back on positively as the new era in the new generation for fighting games and kicking it off in the right way. And I would like to have the physical copy of that. I rarely buy games on digital. They'd have to be on sale in order for me to buy it, and even then it's very, very rare. But I think it's worth criticizing something that you don't like. As I said, we all criticized the logo. The logo was absolute dog shit, and it's good that they changed it, because when people go to buy Street Fighter 6, they're going to see that cover art initially. For my money, if you put Ryu, Ken and Chun-Li on it, everyone's gonna go, oh yeah, Street Fighter, you know, I grew up playing that. Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, of course. You put Luke on it, you're gonna say, who the hell is this guy? Who is this wasteman looking character? I don't know who this is. Is this Street Fighter? What happened to Ryu and Ken? Then I gotta sit there explain to them, oh, they're still there, they're just not the main characters anymore. Then they're gonna be like, they're not the main characters anymore, and it's a whole kerfuffle. Obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit. My point is that it is worth talking about. And then you got Susie Hunter here saying, or the Sphere Hunter saying, I don't do this much, but I'm asking Capcom very politely to change this cover. Street Fighter 6 is going to be a return to high quality for this series. This cannot be the cover to be to that moment. Do anything else, please, Capcom, please. Now, I have to agree with her. Street Fighter 6 does look like a return to form. It looks like a return to high quality. I think we can all agree Street Fighter 5 is not what you would consider a high quality fighting game. If anything, it was subpar, mediocre at best, and that would be in its final inception after many updates. Street Fighter 5 was a complete drop off, not at the level of Street Fighter 4, but Street Fighter 6 seems to be taking it to a whole new level. So much so that I've heard people saying this could be the greatest Street Fighter game of all time for a multitude of reasons, most of which I can actually stand behind, having had hours on the game. I've played the game without any of the characters that I'm even interested in playing, and I've still had a good time. So that is a testament to how high quality this Street Fighter 6 game is. Of course, we would want the cover art to reflect that. Now the problem here is, I think what the problem is that people don't like Luke. Luke is not a very well received character, and it feels like Capcom is forcing us to like him. It feels like they put him in Street Fighter 5 in what my mind was a test to see how people would receive this character, the Street Fighter 6 character, and he wasn't received very well. Now I will say that the Street Fighter 6 version of him has been better received than the Street Fighter 5 iteration, but it's still not at the level that people would want it to be. Characters normally gain a good or bad reputation based on what they do in the game, like in a story mode, for example. In Street Fighter 5, you didn't really get a story mode, you didn't really get a chance to flesh this character out properly. It was very minor things done in a very classic arcade style, and you couldn't really gauge too much from it. On top of that, he kind of just annoyed people in the gameplay. So as far as people are concerned, Luke hasn't earned his stripes to be the cover of the most prestigious fighting game in all of existence, and I think that's what people's gripes are with it. Now again, yes, is it a first world petty gripe? Of course, but problem here is that Street Fighter 6 has hit every single corner you would want it to hit. If something's not right, they're going to pick on that. Now the cover art's the first thing people see, so of course I understand the sentiment here. Susie Hunter went on to say, when certain video game developers are asking me to say something about it to raise awareness, you know it's bad. Now I don't know who Susie Hunter is. They've got a blue tick next to their name, but we know that doesn't really mean anything anymore, but I'm assuming that they're someone of importance. But it's the comment beneath it that I really want to highlight. This is a stupid take. This person, Sajid, the real Sajid, said, why change it? Is it because he's a white male? Does he have to bear a certain skin color to satisfy the woke agenda? That is a stupid comment. That is an extremely stupid comment, because guarantee you, if Ken was the cover of Street Fighter 6, nobody would complain because everyone likes Ken. This is not about skin color. This is not about a woke agenda. This is not about white males or black people or anything. It's nothing like that. It's simply people don't like Luke. People just don't like Luke. Ken is also a white American straight male with blonde blonde hair. It's just people like Ken. People respect Ken. Ken has earned his stripes so much so that although he's not the main character, he is as close to the main character as humanly possible. And if not Ryu, I ain't got no problem with having a Street Fighter game that has Ken as the face of the cover. Sajid, that's a dumb take. There's a time and place to talk about the woke agenda. I get all of that. This wasn't one of them. That was a ridiculous comment by any stretch of the imagination. Then Ellis says, when developers want to force someone down people's throats, they don't let up. People want Ryu and Ken, they give them Luke. People want Dante and Virgil, they give them Nero. People want Bayonetta, they give them Viola. People want Leon and Ada, they give them Ethan and Rose. That's honestly, I agree with that. It does feel like Luke is being forced down our throats. I don't know a lot of people that like Luke. I'd go as far as to say I've never met somebody that likes Luke. So in a game that has returned a franchise to form, it would stand to reason that people would want to see the faces that they grew up with. Especially since Ryu and Ken have aged in this game, it's sort of like a new iteration of them. At the very least, I would be very happy with a Chun-Li cover. Chun-Li's not a character I use. Chun-Li is a character that I'm never going to use, but Chun-Li would have earned her stripes as a character that definitely deserves to be on the front of a Street Fighter game without a shadow of a doubt. I'd go as far as to say Cammy. Basically anybody other than Luke. People really don't like Luke, myself included. But then Emery Reigns here says, people complain about the cover of a fighting game and not the actual mechanics has got to be the most 2022 thing I've ever seen. Well, see, Emery, the problem is that there's nothing to complain about with the mechanics in Street Fighter 6. There's nothing to complain about with the graphics. There's nothing to complain about the systems, the character choices, the music, the stage, the UI, and the general infrastructure. Like I said, Capcom has pretty much nailed everything. So yes, this is the first miss. Of course people are going to complain. This is the first thing people are going to see when they go into the store to buy it. It looks silly. To me, it looks like a bit of a sports game cover, and I don't really want that for my Street Fighter games. Now, I understand I am not the whole audience. I understand that maybe it's to appeal to the casual audience, although I can think of 10 better ways to do this cover. Even with Luke on it, I can think of better ways to do it than this. This seems very lazy for a game that seems like there's so much love and effort that have been put into it. And finally, we end on these comments where this guy says, this is a shit take, man. The cover is what sells to casuals. This cover is what everyone sees first. It should absolutely be changed. This is also a fighting game 90% of people haven't played yet, so can't complain about mechanics just yet, now can we? Which is a fair point. Most people haven't played it, so why would they be complaining about mechanics? There's nothing to really complain about, and for the people that have played Street Fighter 6, they know that there's nothing to complain about. It's a really, really good game. And then Emery says it should be changed in your opinion, because they're not going to change it because Onikoyo585 on Twitter asked for it to be changed, my guy. Pick your battles. I mean, that's not true. That's just not true. I don't think Capcom ignored what people said about the logo. The logo got absolutely trashed. It got put through the ringer. There were memes about it. There were literal memes about it. That logo was terrible. I think they changed it because of public outcry. I think Capcom and the Street Fighter team really do want to please the audience. So whilst I don't think that they're going to change the cover art for it, I do think they're going to offer other options. I think they'll give people the ability to buy special editions or collector's editions with maybe Ryu and Ken on it, and the standard version is just going to have Luke. And then maybe in like a Super Street Fighter 6 version, they would have learnt from their mistakes, and they're probably going to have the mainstays on there, or whichever characters are very popular in Street Fighter 6. Maybe that's going to be Akuma when he finally gets released. Who knows? But yeah, the developers will definitely change something if people cry. We saw it with the logo already. I think it'd be a bit of a stretch to say it was just a coincidence. That outcry for the logo was pretty big. But you guys let me know what you think. I personally don't like the cover. It looks like a bit of a UFC/EA Sports thing. It's not really something that I want to see in my Street Fighter games. I think Street Fighter 5 even had a better cover than it, and even that wasn't amazing. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.